Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Korman Productions, here to talk about This Is Us, Season 1, Episode 13, titled 3 Sentences. This episode is kinda all over the place and a bit jumbled. The past timeline is the clear highlight of this particular one, which centers around the Big Three and their 10th birthday. Birthdays, I should say. I don't fully know how I feel about Kate's story, and Kevin's is actively cringeworthy. Randall's thread with William is my clear favorite of the Big Three stories this week. I'm once again actively going to be ignoring any and all of Kevin's scenes this episode. It's once again tied into being torn between Sloane and Olivia, and basically highlighting the absolute worst of Kevin as a character. Though it does have the bonus of introducing us to Sophie, played Alexandra Breckenridge. Let's talk about Kevin for a minute, and then we're going to move on to the actual episode. Kevin has an absolutely kick-ass arc in Season 2, one that I cannot wait to cover. In fact, during that arc is probably one of my favorite episodes of the entire series run. It's where we finally get to see who this character really is. But here in this episode, we're swimming in the shallow. He comes off as nothing more than a self-involved jerk, with a dilemma that is quite frankly hard to sympathize with. One of the reasons why I was so annoyed when Kevin's arc turned into who is going to be his baby mama is because I was afraid it was going to turn into this nonsense. I turned out to be wrong in Season 4. They did right by his character there. But here, not so much. Here, he finally decides to pursue neither Olivia nor Sloane, and instead go for his ex-wife in Sophie. That's all you really need to know. So for the rest of this episode, Kevin's scenes are getting the skip treatment. Two things before I get into the episode itself. One, this is not a spoiler-free video, per usual. And two, if you like my video and my content in general, please subscribe to my channel. We open up with a montage of the Big Three's birthdays through the ages, up until they turn 9. After the montage, we settle into the day before the Big Three turn 10. Jack and Rebecca are discussing it, and then suddenly, they get a little passionate, a little frisky. But, as usual with parents who have kids, they are interrupted by Kevin and Kate saying they want their own birthday parties, not all celebrating together. It should be noted that Kevin is the clear ringleader here. Kate is the tag-along, and Randall isn't even in the scene until he's called in by Rebecca and Jack. And then he seems pretty indifferent about it, but he goes along with it. We cut to the present-day timeline, where Kate is talking to the doctor about the gastric bypass surgery. The doctor is trying to schedule the surgery, and she asks if Tuesday works for her. And Kate says, sure, or never. The doctor asks, what's going on? And she mentions the fact that she got engaged. Well, wait a second here. That hospital bedside chat was an official engagement? Okay. She says that he just had heart surgery, and it was terrifying. It's funny you should say that, Kate, because you weren't overly sympathetic towards Toby's fears during the course of that episode. And Kate is now finally realizing what her entire family was trying to tell her the minute she announced that she was considering doing gastric bypass surgery, in that surgery is dangerous. You could die. So anyway, Kate has decided that she is not going to go through with the surgery at this time. The doctor suggests a submersive weight loss experience. And Kate skeptically says, "Fat camp?" The doctor is suggesting a program in the Adirondacks. Excellent facility, no distractions, hard work. Cut to Beth and Randall. Randall is in a hurry because his boss wants to see him. William happens on the scene. He's fresh off having stopped chemo, and he's feeling really good, really energetic. He's acting scarily happy. He wants Randall to show him how to put music, his music specifically, onto Tessa's iPod, which she loaned him. Randall's in a hurry. He tries to explain that to him, but before he can, William is off. Randall hands the responsibility of showing William how to put the music on to Beth. After a Kevin scene that I'm not going to talk about because he does not exist once again, we see Kate and Toby driving on the way to the camp. Kate asks him if he is okay with what she is doing, and Toby gives her nothing but support. He says, "We have the rest of our lives to spend together, or at least the rest of mine. I just had a heart attack, so I'm clearly going first." Kate is put off by the comment, and in response, Toby says that the doctor doesn't want him to travel for at least a couple of weeks, and that this should be an amazing experience for Kate, so he, Toby, will get to know the Big Apple a little bit. Kate asks him if he knows anybody in the city, and Toby says no, but if Macaulay Culkin can get around the city, so can he. This, of course, leads to Kevin and Toby hanging out for much of the episode, which theoretically would be a good thing. They are a fun pairing when they get together, which is not very often. But Kevin's scenes are all cringe this week, so not so much. We cut to Randall, who's entering his boss's office with a new guy named Sanjay, who will be sticking around for at least 3 episodes. Sanjay was brought aboard to nail some account that the company wants to get. But Randall feels like he should have at least a shot at trying to win over this account. And so, a competition is born. And the beginning of Randall's meltdown is formed, because this will lead to Randall having a meltdown. Cut to the past timeline, where Jack and Rebecca are preparing for the 3 birthdays, while Jack is watching old home videos. Jack bemoans the fact that they won't be playing pin the tail on the donkey. They might never be doing it again. And this eventually leads to Jack asking, "What if we had another kid?" And credits. 11 minutes into this episode. Well, the actual time is 10 minutes and 56 seconds. But ye God, is that a long cold open. When we come back from credits, Rebecca is pretty skeptical about the whole idea of having another kid, but Jack is arguing for it. Rebecca points out, "Do you remember the last time we tried to have kids? We came home with 3. One would hope that wouldn't happen again." Jack makes his best case, but then he's rejected. Cut to Randall in the present-day timeline, as he's hard at work on his presentation to try to win the account, when lo and behold, William joins him. William ended up taking the bus to get to Randall's job. William asks him if he's going to have a lunch break, because he would like to hit the town to accessorize his wardrobe, so that when he dies, he will do so in style. Randall says that he is working through lunch today and asks if Jesse can go. And William says he can't trust Jesse's opinion because he thinks that he looks good in everything. Aww. William goes on to say he doesn't mean to bother, but it's such a nice day. And who knows just how many of those he has left. Oh, look at William playing the I'm gonna die soon card. And of course, Randall can't argue with that. Cut to Kate at the camp, talking to Jess, one of the staff, and Kate seems surprised that they haven't yet seen the gym. And Jess points out that it's not all about working out, that some of it is getting to the root of the problems that led to the weight problems in the first place. But Kate says simply, beyond the weight, there is simply more weight. And this is my point, or was my point, a couple of episodes ago. Simply losing the weight isn't enough. Kate has to deal with the deeper issues that got her there in the first place. And Kate seems very much reluctant to do that. After a brief conversation with Kevin, in which this is the worst scene of the episode for him in terms of coming off like a complete jerk, he ends up talking to another member of the staff and another jerk face. We're seeing this character for at least another 3 episodes. Oh joy. I quite honestly forgot where this particular arc is going. Though I do know or remember that it does involve Toby getting jealous at some point. Cut to Jack and Rebecca in the past, dealing with 3 different birthday parties. And my God, does it look exhausting. I had to go to bed and take a 24-hour nap just watching this scene. Kids are running around like crazy. Kevin is playing with a sword. I don't even know what his party's about. And Kate has her Madonna party. They eventually notice that Randall's party only has like 3-4 kids in it, which seems to bother Jack and Rebecca. So they go and ask Randall about it. And Randall simply says, oh, the other classmates aren't coming. And it's okay because they're not really my friends. And they point out to him, well, they invite you to their birthday parties. And Randall's simply like, yeah, they do that because of the rule. If you invite one kid, you have to invite them all. But again, they're not my friends. And it's perfectly okay. Jack and Rebecca are clearly more upset about this than Randall is. When they leave his party, Jack is all, how can they not like Randall? He's like actually funny. Not like little kid funny, but really funny. And Rebecca wonders, is it because he's black? Those racist bastards. I'm not upset, you're upset. I'm not crying, you're crying. This whole scene made me giggle. Hardcore. Cut to Kevin and Toby. Hi, Kevin. Bye, Kevin. Cut back to the past, where Jack's attempt to get another baby is still in progress. Randall comes in, and Rebecca goes all, oh, hey, it's the birthday boy, and weirding both me and Randall out. She asks, are you having fun? And Randall's like, yep, just trying to go to the bathroom. Rebecca says, I'm sorry more kids didn't come to the birthday party. I'm sure they wanted to, but they just had things that were going on that they couldn't get out of. And Randall once again says, no, they didn't. They're just not my friends. I don't care. I have 3 really good friends. That's a lot. Well, damn. This kid is wise beyond his years. Rebecca asks if Randall is still enjoying his school, because he is always saying that he loves it. And Randall's like, yeah, of course. My teachers are awesome, and I'm hanging out with Andrew, and we're making a book of something. I didn't quite catch what that was. Masons or something? I'm not really sure. But Rebecca is impressed. She gives him a hug and says, Randall, you really are the coolest kid ever. And Randall's all like, thanks. Can I go to the bathroom now? I absolutely adore young Randall's scenes in this episode this week. And this conversation somehow convinces that maybe Jack is right. Maybe they should have to have a baby after all. Because they raised a really cool human being. And although they can't take credit for his genetics, they can take credit for, perhaps, who Randall is growing up to be. Cut to William and Randall. William is in a store of some type, trying on some sunglasses, and trying Randall's patience, who clearly wants to get back to work. But after picking up the glasses, William says that there is one more stop they have to make, and that is to get a drink. He needs an egg cream, which is a soda with chocolate and soda. And I really have to try that at some point. Cut to Kate trying out the fat camp and breathing exercises, and she seems as confused by these scenes as I am. She tries calling Toby, and Jerkface takes the phone from her and hangs it up, and simply says that her voice is annoying both the horses and himself. He goes on to say that nothing that happens at this camp means anything. It's a waste of time. Kate is ready to quit. But this guy poo-pooing what's going on at this camp convinces her otherwise. Cut to the past, where Kevin is having a grand old time. But Jack and Rebecca notice that all the Madonnas are in Kevin's party. And when they ask about Kate, Kevin has no idea, because Kevin only cares about himself, even at this age. But really, it comes down to his super secret duper motivation for everything that will be revealed later. Jack goes and finds Kate, who's sitting by herself, and she tries to do the Vogue, or rather Jack tries to get her to do it, and they do for a little while. He thinks that this is making her feel better, but in the end, it really isn't. Eventually, Kate tells him that she just wants to be alone for a little while. And it's kind of funny because there's no real resolution to this. She just feels bad, and Jack doesn't succeed in making her feel better. Cut to William and Randall. Randall is getting increasingly agitated while they drive. Randall asks why, after they spend so much time finding the perfect egg cream that meets William's standards, is he not actually drinking it? And William simply says, it's not the right time. William asks him to pull over in a parking lot. And Randall is increasingly sarcastic, being like, oh yeah, sure, let's do that. Why not? Randall pulls over and then asks, okay, now what? And William says, I was hoping. William gets out the iPod and asks Randall to plug it in somewhere and to push play. He puts on his sunglasses and starts drinking his egg cream. Randall remains confused, but William starts to offer an explanation. When he was a little boy in Memphis, there was a record store named Hoppy's. It got torn down a couple years ago. When I was a kid, that was the place. They'd let you listen to any record, even if you weren't going to buy it. The owner's name was Mo Moretti. He could look at you and tell you what song you needed to hear. Every Saturday morning, we would wait for Mo to open up his shop. He would drive up in his all-black Cadillac with his cool shades, drinking his cream soda. And I always wanted to be like Mo, even if just for a minute. Driving around in a cool car, drinking my favorite drink, listening to my favorite record. Something I always wanted to do before I died. Randall responds to this story by buckling up and saying, then you will. But there's just one problem. William doesn't know how to drive. He never needed to learn. He lived in the city where there were buses and you can get anywhere using those buses. And William asks, do you want me to show you how to drive? And of course William says, yes, he does. I was hoping you would. That would mean a lot to me. And Randall agrees. And this is the precise moment where it seems like Randall isn't just tolerating William and humoring him, where he's actually enjoying what they're doing and forgetting for the moment the stuff going on at the office. Cut to Kate, who has decided to join a class. They're banging sticks together, and the instructor asks, "Why are you guys here? Is it out of loneliness? Pain? Hurt? Whatever it is, I want it to flow through your hands. I want you to let it out." And we see Kate, who's increasingly acting emotional. Her eyes are closed as she's banging these sticks together. She sees the taunting message left for her in the pool episode, as well as checking her mom's dress for the size. And eventually we get a little bit of Jack's funeral. We don't see much to get an idea of when this is taking place, because they still don't want us to know. Only we do eventually get a glimmer. And I did not realize that we nailed down roughly the timeline that Jack eventually died when we saw the teen kids at the funeral scene very briefly in this episode. But anyway, Chrissy Metz's acting, the music, and the editing definitely sell this scene, which is rather remarkable because I otherwise don't quite get what's going on here. Music therapy of some type? Eventually, Kate ends up screaming, and that only earns her a "Are you okay?" in the most mildest of way from the instructor. And I don't know, someone screaming like that should draw more attention than it seems to. We cut to Kevin trying to win Sophie over in the only good moment for Kevin in the entire episode. It's our first introduction to Sophie, though we've actually been seeing her as a kid throughout the episode because she's Kate's best friend. Kevin doesn't end up with a conclusive answer. He gets a maybe, which is, as far as he's concerned, is a win for him. We cut to the past, where Jack and Rebecca approach Kevin and suggest that maybe he push Sophie into going to hang out with Kate. And Kevin's response is, "I can't. I love her." And that's when Jack realizes that the whole motivation behind everything, behind the party, was to get Sophie here. It was for Sophie. Oh, young love. We cut to the present day timeline where Kate approaches the jerk-faced worker, and she thanks him for being a jerk to push her towards staying. But no, the real reason he was acting like a jerk is because he's a jerk. And he more or less pretty much wants to sleep with Kate. And he's pretty confident that that's going to happen. This character is not off to a great start, by the way. I am not at all looking forward to seeing him again. And I think that's a good place to stop. All in all, I would say this episode is pretty disjointed. It's mostly set up for all the dramatic things that are about to happen, from William dying to Randall having a meltdown, and for Kevin attempting to woo Sophie, which I believe succeeds for at least a while. There's some good stuff here, and some bad. Mostly the bad is Kevin. It's an enjoyable watch, but I certainly wouldn't rank it up there with one of the better ones of the series. And really, that's all I got for this video. If you like this video, and my content in general, and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Korman Productions. You can join my Korman Productions Facebook page. You can join my This Is Us discussion page, also on Facebook. You can buy something from the Korman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy, which is a new way to support content creators such as myself. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to my channel. This is Dave from Korman Productions, signing off.